We didn't need that. They were gonna do it. They didn't need that extra teacher stuff. So, how's everybody this afternoon? Good. I'm so glad. I wish we could fill this room every time. That would be fantastic. But it's okay. We did it today because we have some important things that we need to talk about. We're going to start our meeting as we always do. This is June the 18th, our legislative meeting. And we start with silent prayer and a pledge of allegiance. If you could take a moment for silent prayer, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Introductions, please.
Quinn Falter, Executive Assistant.
Chrissy Rischel, Interim Clerk.
Hamilton County Commission Vice President Alicia Reese.
Good afternoon. I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator.
Linda Smith, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney.
Stephanie Summerall Dumas, President of the Board. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Driehaus.
Thank you. I'm just going to, our agenda doesn't indicate it, but before we start our public comments, I'd like for us to read our proclamation, our Juneteenth proclamation. We didn't get an opportunity outside. Wanted to make sure it didn't start raining, so this will only take a second, and I will get started. You have yours. This is a proclamation celebrating Juneteenth. Whereas Juneteenth, officially known as Juneteenth National Independence Day, is a federal holiday in the United States and is celebrated annually on June 19th to commemorate the ending of slavery in the United States. And whereas on January the 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln declared the end of slavery with the Emancipation Proclamation. And whereas after the end of the Civil War, on June the 19th, 1865, Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, to formally announce the Emancipation Proclamation from the balcony of the former Confederate Army headquarters and free all slaves.
And whereas Juneteenth is the oldest known celebration commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. And whereas Juneteenth serves as a reminder of the resilience, courage, spirit, and vigor of the African American community in their pursuit of freedom and equality. Whereas Juneteenth not only celebrates the freedom of formerly enslaved people, but also emphasizes education and achievement.
And whereas Juneteenth reminds us of the importance of freedom and the significant obstacles we have overcome to this day, honoring the struggles and triumphs of African Americans throughout history, from slavery to the ongoing pursuit of social justice and equality. And whereas on September 24th, 2020, the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners adopt a resolution declaring Juneteenth as an official paid holiday in Hamilton County, Ohio. And whereas on June 17, 2021, Juneteenth was officially recognized as a federal holiday in the United States under the United States President Joe Biden.
And whereas Juneteenth holds profound historical significance as a pivotal moment in American history, marking the belated but joyous announcement of freedom for enslaved African Americans in Texas and symbolizing the beginning of a new chapter of liberation, resilience, and progress for African Americans nationwide. Be it proclaimed that the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim that June the 19th, 2026 be known as Juneteenth Day in all of Hamilton County by order of all our commissioners. If you could please stand. Okay, thank you very much for your patience. I will, let's see what time it is. We got a few minutes. did you want to make a quick comment about Juneteenth for the ones that were not here?
Yeah, real quick, I will say that Juneteenth, what's so important is that it was passed legislatively, but they had to go from legislation to implementation. And I just want to say that as we are talking about the 250 years of America, know that Juneteenth is only 160 plus years. So that means there were so many years that blacks were left out and were not free in the country. So just wanted to highlight that. It is now a national holiday and has become more commercialized, but I want to make sure we understand that there are some policies that's trying to go back to pre-Juneteenth. So please rededicate yourself to stand up for freedom for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say that we all should be standing in solidarity, recognizing Juneteenth and the celebration that oppression ended that day for so many people in this country who are African American, and it symbolizes the struggle and the movement forward since then. And so we all encounter oppression. When we see it, we should do something about it. I think that's the lesson of today. As elected officials, we have a special obligation to address some of the systems that continue to hold people back and not welcome everybody into our systems. But I think everyone has an opportunity during your daily lives to note it, to see it, and to do something about it. And so I just want to recognize that this is an important inflection point for us every year. Commissioner Dumas started this in 2020, and it's a needed reminder that we've come a long way, but we've got some work to do. Thank you.
Thank you. We had a great crowd down at the courthouse. It gets bigger every year, and I'm just happy for those who came out, and also the fact that you guys got to experience the proclamation. As was said, it was one of the first things that I did when I came. I announced that we should celebrate Black history in Hamilton County, and that was the first thing. And the next thing, not in between there were other things, but Juneteenth was also brought up as a holiday and a celebration. So I'm glad that we're doing it. Particularly, it's important to me. This is a 6-year celebration. It may be my last time as a commissioner celebrating, but I'll continue celebrating Juneteenth. But I just wanted to make sure that we made it happen. We were going to do it in here. We thinking it was going to rain, and we prayed. My bishop said, let's go out and try to do it and see what happens. And we didn't have any rain, so that was good. So it was a great time. So we'll move
Commissioner
on.
Dumas, I got to say one other thing. You went beyond a proclamation and a flag raising, which is very important. But before it became a national holiday, through your leadership, I wasn't here then, you made it a holiday for the employees. Mm-hmm. And that was a big deal. So when people are off on Friday around the country, Hamilton County was first.
Yes.
And that was your legislation. So just wanted to say that.
Okay, we're going to get started with public comments. It looks like about 40 of them are here, and that's good. How can we change things without speaking out? We can't keep our mouths closed. We have to not only listen, but we have to speak. So our first
Commissioner, I'm sorry. Did we want to do if those are for the levy presentation? Is that for the?
Would you
public
like
hearing?
to do your part first?
Well, I was thinking that Lisa would do her presentation.
So they'll know
first,
where we're coming
yeah,
from.
exactly.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
That's great. Lisa Webb is coming forward to just kind of give you some background. We're not trying to squash your voices. We just want you to have information. Okay?
Thank you.
No, we're not. We're going to do that after this. Yeah.
I have a very short presentation, just a quick overview, and then we can.
Let me just say this to my clerk because she's keeping us in order, and she didn't know I had a conversation with our engineer, Eric Beck, and he's willing to wait until after the people speak for us to get to him. So thank you for keeping us in order. Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have a very quick overview of the Children's Services Levy and the needs within it that I want to go through very quickly for everyone here, and then we'll turn this right over to the public hearing and get through all of those speakers cards so we can hear everyone's stories. This is just a quick update on the levy with some background as well. The Children's Services Levy is on the ballot to provide support for children's services and the care and placement of children. The levy was first approved by voters in 1981. It was approved last November of 21. The rate is 4.51 mils. It currently costs taxpayers just over $81 per $100,000 in home valuation. That is the base that we use. We know $100,000 homes are hard to come by now, but it is a good base to be able to use to figure out, based on what your home value is, what the cost is. That is also specifically the ballot language that's used. It'll have the $100,000 home amount in it as well. The levy was last increased in 2018, and prior to that hadn't been increased since 1996. It's important to note that the levy funds essential legally required services that protect children from abuse and neglect, and it supports families in crisis. Almost 80% of those services are mandated by law, meaning that Hamilton County must provide them regardless of funding sources. The levy is experiencing rising costs and increased complexity for the kids that are in care. That's leading to the funding challenges that I'll get to in just a minute. It's important to note that this levy is the local lifeline for kids in our community. The levy has reached over 13,000 children. That's over 6,000 families in our community in 2025 alone. When we say that it is the local lifeline, it is providing life-saving intervention and essential health and mental health services to kids in our community. The majority of the mandated cost for that is provided through foster care and other placement costs, but that is not everything. It is the 24/7 crisis response provided by 241 Kids and those investigation services, the trauma-informed mental health care and counseling services. Critical behavioral health costs for this levy have nearly quadrupled since 2022 with the needs of kids and families. The levy helps strengthen families. It is important to note that Hamilton County's priority is always keeping kids with families. Over 80% of the kids that are served in a family-based setting through kinship and foster care. I'll get to kinship in just a second on this as well. 9 out of 10 kids exiting care are achieving permanency through reunification, kinship placement, or adoption. It is important to note that that is over 90% of our youth, and they are maintaining that permanency at least 12 months after. It's an important criteria and evaluation of the effectiveness of what Job and Family Services is doing with their children's services programming. It's important to note also, Hamilton County leads Ohio in kinship placements. Kinship placements are an approach to keep kids with other relatives, family members, or community members, keeping them linked to their families and their communities. It improves stability, family connection for children, and it's more affordable to us than traditional foster care. Prevention has been a priority for the levy. I've just mentioned kinship. In Hamilton County is the leader of all Ohio metro counties when it comes to kinship. We have about 36% success of children being with kin in our community. The average cost savings for that, kinship versus foster care, saves annually per person $100 a day per youth versus traditional foster care. Hamilton County also has a Kids in School Role program in 3 of our school districts, including Cincinnati Public. The kids in that program are outperforming their peers. I have a couple charts to show you that in just a second, as well as our independent living program, which helps keep the young adults age 18 to 21 with support services as they're transitioning out of foster care and into housing stability, employment, and completing their educations. Just getting your high school diploma. These are the charts I just mentioned. It's important. I love this chart. The 3rd grade reading guarantee in Cincinnati Public. The blue lines mark the Cincinnati Public averages for passing the 3rd grade reading guarantee for the state of Ohio versus the averages for the kids that are enrolled in the Kids in School Role program. These are kids that are in our children's services programming and getting those wraparound supports. 100% passage of the 3rd grade reading guarantee for these kids in Cincinnati Public. I'll note the graduation rate for kids that are involved in this program for Cincinnati Public. In the class of 2024, 100% graduation rate. 2025, 97% graduation rate. As all of these costs continue to rise, though, they mean hard choices for the levy. Placement costs have increased more than 90% since 2021. They make up half of the annual levy spend. Children in care have increased almost 20% with a higher complexity of needs. I've mentioned the cost drivers already, mental health needs, federal policy shifts to more local financial responsibility, as well as issues with workforce shortages and limited capacity for placements. If you look at the levy spending over the last few years, you'll see 2022, the lighter blue line is the levy plan versus the purple line, which is levy actuals. You will see the levy was actually spending under the plan the first 2 years, but as those increased costs continue to rise, you see it surpassing the planned expenses. This is what we're looking at with out-of-home care costs. In 2022, it's $48 million. The end of the year 2025, it was $93 million. It's a 92% increase over the course of the levy. Why are they rising? Again, we talked about the increased complexity of cases. I think you'll hear today from the community about what is going on in our community with kids and where their needs are. Family First Prevention Act, I mentioned the federal reforms, that's reflected with that, as well as a lot of need for kids with higher need and more expensive residential center and group home placements, which cost significantly. If you look at averages here, the foster home placement averages per child about $41,000 a year. I mentioned kinship in Ohio, or Hamilton County being the leader in that in Ohio. Kinship placements run about $7,000 impact on the levy each year versus you start talking about independent living group homes and residential care, well over $100,000 a year in average costs for these kids that need those services. When we started to realize we were having issues with the levy balancing, actions were taken to address that issue. 2024, discretionary spending was placed on hold. In 2025, we eliminated several shifts costs to the general fund and other funding sources within the county, and the TLRC began their review. In 2026, JFS came to the commissioners and had $36 million in levy-funded reductions to try to help with the levy programs. What did that mean? This is the $36 million. I know the commissioners have seen this slide multiple times, but for everyone else here, these were reductions that were needed to keep this levy fund balanced in 2026. They included reductions to the independent living contracts that we have for the youth 18 to 21, reductions in payments for kinship, reductions in caseworker reimbursements, reductions in some of the service contracts, some of those non-mandated services I mentioned earlier. We have a hiring slowdown right now, not a freeze by any means, but a slowdown and more thoughtful looking at each of those positions as they become available. Reductions in our youth employment program, in our Women Helping Women Divert and domestic violence programs, as well as the movement of funds to either the county's general fund or to other levies to help provide support for the current 2026 year. This is not just happening in Hamilton County, it's happening all over our state, and truly we're seeing it nationwide. But it is important to note that Ohio is ranked second lowest in the country in terms of contributions to child welfare. That means our state is putting the burden on counties to pay that cost. Currently, the state funds about 18% of our child welfare. Nationally, the average is about 42%. We have had 2 independent reviews through the levy process and the Tax Levy Review Committee, both Public Consulting Group, which noted growing numbers of high acuity youth in placement and limited ability locally to be able to control those placement costs. Clark Schaefer Hackett also completed a financial review and noticed that the levy did face significant structural imbalances with a 71% decline in fund balance over the current levy period. The Tax Levy Committee came to the commissioners last month to present their report after 16 months of study, conversations, meeting with the JFS staff, meeting with the community, meeting with the consultants as well, hundreds of hours volunteer service, and they truly concluded that the Children's Services System is at an inflection point, and without additional revenue and major changes, the county will continue to face escalating deficits, reduced services, and long-term costs. They wanted strategic investment in prevention services as available, but note that that's an issue with fiscal sustainability for the levy. The committee recommended continuing funding the levy to provide a base level of funding for mandated services and allowing for restoration of the fund balance reserve within the levy. What is that recommendation to maintain those services? It is an additional levy need of about $62 million a year. That increase will provide about half of the amount of what the public consulting group, the consultants that we had initially determined would be the amount needed to fund all of the services that had been provided by JFS and the Children's Services Levy in the current levy period. I will note, and the TLRC noted, that this is hard choices for JFS even with this levy increase. It potentially includes a continuation of the 2026 reductions that we just went over, continued assumption of the use of the general fund for some ongoing expenses, also included in that slide, and potentially future reductions if out-of-home care costs continue to escalate. I will also note on this, the auditor has completed their calculations on the impact of that, and this levy increase will result in a total levy cost to property owners of $154 per $100,000 of home value. Long-term, the administration and JFS are already working on what needs to be done so that we can continue to monitor the funding of this levy. Everything from looking at kinship, looking at levels of care, looking at non-mandated services, a report's already coming there, utilizing availability that we have through Ohio Rise and maximizing reimbursements whenever we can with federal reimbursement allocations. We are working towards a wellness campus at Hillcrest that we hope will provide stabilization services for kids and improve long-term placement outcomes, keeping as many kids local as we can. The state is also looking at the development of a rate card to set placement costs. We're still waiting to get information from the state about rolling that out later this summer. But we're hoping that that's going to increase the cost transparency, especially between counties for service providers. And we've also done our best to advocate both to the state and to the federal government as it comes to these increased costs. With that, I end. Any questions?
Thank you, Lisa, for the presentation.
Absolutely.
I think maybe we'll hold our questions, and then Jeff, you have something as you can relate so they can have a better idea of the impact on our general fund. I'm thinking, do you guys want more information? You're on your seat. You're wanting to talk. Do you want some quick additional information, or you want to go on and say what you need to say?
Where is this report?
Oh,
I was saying what's in the report. The reason I'm saying that is I know everybody wants to talk, but we've got to
But I
you
think
got to get
it's
the
good.
facts. So you
Yeah.
got to have the
Now,
facts.
remember, and you guys know this, knowledge is power. So the more you may want to even change what you're going to say or add on some, it won't take but a minute, okay?
I'll be very quick. So I don't have the clicker, but I'll ask Quinn or Christy to click through. So I just wanted to hit this from a little bit different of an angle, commissioners. Lisa just went through very briefly to talk about the importance of the levy to the children of this community. I just wanted to take a moment to talk quickly about the importance of this levy to the general operating fund of the county, and just a factual check on the implications of this levy to the county. So Christy, do you have the? Yeah, so if you could just go to that first slide. So just in a nutshell, the importance of this levy to the general fund and the general operations of the county just can't be overstated. As Lisa indicated, the work of Children's Services is mandated by state and federal law. So as such, the general fund is liable for services if levy revenue is even unavailable. So the TLRC assessed this function, quantified the value of the necessary work in their recommendation at approximately $144 million. So I'm using that number as a benchmark, recognizing that the commissioners still have not voted on a number to go to the ballot. Haven't even considered yet the question of going to the ballot, but I'm using that as a benchmark number. So in the main, it just needs to be recognized that the failure of this levy would equate to a massive impact across Hamilton County. As I indicated, this would create a general fund responsibility, and given that magnitude, this would be an unsustainable hit in total to the county general fund, which would impact virtually every county department. For context, what $144 million means if the levy were to fail and we would need to supplement those services from the general fund, $144 million, just for context, that's 35% of the entirety of the general fund. It's more than half of all general fund personnel costs. And I say that to note that this commission has been, unlike any other, so hawkish on the issue of budget balancing and making sure that we are fiscally sustainable. I remember last year when we were looking to balance the general fund budget, at the very last portion of that, we were down to trying to figure out the last $40,000. And we had a conversation in public session about the last $40,000 of balancing the budget. We're talking here about $144 million. Even half of that amount, just for relative comparison, would still be a massive hit to the general fund. It exceeds the value of any single department in the county. It exceeds the value of every department in total under the Board of County Commissioners. It's 2.5 times the size of our general fund reserve, so it's a huge number. So in terms of contingency planning, if not remedied, a levy failure would require massive ongoing reductions to county operations, both staffing and services alike. Even temporarily, it would force the county to massively drain reserves, delay or cancel capital projects, and consider new taxes. And I just had to note that in that scenario, it's hard to see how that scenario plays out in a way that does not lend some level of increased fiscal oversight from the state onto the county. Just a couple more slides here. I did just want to note that when we're talking about impact to the general fund, when people say, well, what is the general fund? What does that even mean? 75% of the general fund is public safety oriented. It's the sheriff's office, it's jail operations, it's the prosecutor's office, public defender, crime lab, courts, 911. Those are the things the general fund budget funds. And that's before you even get to some of the programming that is not necessarily mandated under the ORC, but is so incredibly important to the residents of the county. So just final takeaways, I'll wrap up here. Again, the board has been so hawkish on this issue just from a general budget perspective, but also in terms of already making reductions to the Children's Services levy to make sure that we stay on target. A failed levy would pose a massive general fund impact, regardless of whether it was temporary or sustained. I talked about the level of support of the public safety and justice functions within the general fund budget. The Children's Services levy, just from the beginning, has been the county's way of insulating the general fund from those impacts. So we've, over the years, relied upon that recurring revenue rather than a reliance on one-time solutions, et cetera. So obviously, we would do everything possible to bridge a scenario if the levy were to fail until we could get to a more sustainable solution, but there'd be no way to do that without significant and impactful erosion of the county's fiscal health. I'll provide a more detailed report to the board on this over the next day or so, Commissioner, so you'll have this in a little bit more detail, but did just think as we kick these public hearings off that it would be good to set the stage with just the factual impact of this to the general fund. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And I know I keep, I hear you say if it fails, if it fails, if it's failed, and we're wanting it to pass, of course. That's why we're here. But we're being realistic also at how far do we have to go? What strategy do we need to use to make sure this happens? So we'll move on to our speakers. The first speaker is Major John Lowenstein. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you.
for letting me speak here. Good afternoon. I am Major John Lowenstein, and I am representing Sheriff McGuffey in the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. And I'd like to speak about something critically important to our work in law enforcement within the county. The 241 Kids program, and why our partnership with it is not only essential, but legally required. In Ohio, and especially here in Hamilton County, 241 Kids is the designated 24/7 system for receiving and responding to reports of child abuse and neglect. Under the Ohio Revised Code, every officer is obligated to report suspected abuse or neglect to 241 Kids. This is not optional. It is a statutory duty, and it's one of the most important responsibilities we have in protecting our community's most vulnerable. 241 Kids provide trained emergency caseworkers who can take immediate custody of endangered children, arrange medical care if needed, and ensure their safety. When officers encounter a dangerous situation involving a child, we rely on 241 Kids to take the protective lead. So we may focus on any criminal investigation in the situation. Their expertise complements ours, and that coordination prevents from children falling through the cracks. This partnership also ensures that cases enter a broader network of support. Prosecutors, juvenile court, the Mayerson Center, medical experts, and social services. When we contact 241 Kids, promptly and consistently, we activate that entire system. And beyond immediate safety concerns, 241 Kids provides families with resources we simply cannot. Counseling, substance abuse, housing, and parenting support. Our job is public safety. Theirs is both protection and healing. Thank you for your time today. I hope I have convinced the strong relationship between law enforcement and 241 Kids. I ask for everyone's commitment to the safety of our children in this community.
Thank you so much. I
And
appreciate it.
Also like to see the large amount of signs behind us that everyone has brought in.
That's great. Make sure the cameras get that. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Marvin Butts.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good
I'm Marvin
afternoon.
Butts. I'm one of the board members for the Lighthouse Youth Services. I've been on that board for 20 years plus. I've been involved with the Lighthouse since 1975. I took my first runaway there. And this is an important thing to pass because I'm here also representing 1,000 of kids that couldn't be here that we provided service to. And showing up today, I wasn't expecting to see all this. So we're going to turn this into a pep rally. Who all want the levy to pass? So I don't think I have to say too much more than that. But it's an important thing because you all know me personally. You know what I do. I take the kids off the street, I feed them, I clothe them, and I educate them. So, and I don't get funding for that. That's my foundation to do that. So can you imagine if I was on that levy list? I could do more. But this is very important to keep the kids safe. Nowadays, these kids are dealing with mental issues. That's part of this levy. So it's got to pass. Right, team? Yeah! Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Aaron Bell. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Aaron. Thanks for giving me a chance to speak. My name is Aaron. I'm here to support the proposed Hamilton County Children's Service Levy. I grew up in the custody of Children's Services and today live on my own, something that would have never happened without the independent living service offered by Lighthouse. When I was 17, I found myself alone without a safety net until I found Lighthouse. Through Lighthouse, Living Independence Service, I learned how to make it on my own without the program. Without the program, I wouldn't know how to manage common everyday tasks, things most people learn from their families. But just as important, I gained consistent support from adults who showed up, answered questions, and treated me like my future mattered. Aging out to foster care doesn't mean you're ready for adulthood. It just means the clock ran out. Without programs like these, many young people leave care with no guidance and no backup plan. With them, we are given tools, stability, and confidence to move forward. The levy is about more than funding programs. It's about investing in young people who have already faced instability and giving us a real chance to succeed. I'm working towards independence, and I know I'm not alone because of the support I received through Lighthouse. I urge you to continue supporting the Children's Service Levy and place it on the ballot in November. Your decision will help make stories like mine possible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Marcella Houston. You can correct me when you come up. Welcome.
It's Marquetta.
Marquetta, okay.
Hi. So my name is Marquetta Houston, and I am the Family Empowerment Manager at Beach Acres Parenting Center. Through our programs, we provide parenting classes, parent coaching, serving many families referred by JFS. Often these parents are the ones who has their children been removed from their care. Our role is to help parents recognize their natural strengths, build upon them, and develop the skills they need to create safe, healthy, and successful families. While this work is deeply meaningful to me professionally, it is also very personal. For the past 8 years, I have been a foster parent with more than 20 children coming through my home in one way or the other. The young lady that I currently have in my care has been with me since 2022, and we were together for 2 years, and she was then reunified with her mother. 6 months later, on January 10th of last year, I received a call from her asking for help. Working together with Job and Family Services, reports were made, a safety plan was established, and she returned to my home. Since then, JFS workers and our foster agency staff has walked alongside us every step of the way. They have been in our homes more times than I can count, providing support, guidance, and ensuring that her safety and well-being remains the priority. Today, we are beginning the process of adoption. As much as I look forward to the day when our involvement with JFS is no longer needed, I am incredibly grateful for that they had been there when she needed protection and support the most. From my professional perspective, I am equally thankful that JFS exists to connect families with services like those offered at Beach Acres. Every day, I see parents working hard, learning new skills, and making positive changes that the children can safely return home with better outcomes. I have experienced the impact of Job and Family Services on both sides as a professional and a foster parent. And I can say with confidence that these services matter. They change lives, strengthen families, and provide hope when people need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Megan Dougherty.
Good afternoon. My name's Megan Dougherty, and I'm going to offer you the story of a foster parent. I've now adopted, but I am still a licensed foster parent. Many of you may be unfamiliar with how the services work. You get licensed. That's a huge process, a huge commitment from the agencies. Then you get put on the call list. You wait and wait and wait. You answer many calls because when you get a call, your name is thrown into a hat. So for me personally, I had received somewhere in the range of 7 to 9 calls. So on a Tuesday night, I said, sure, yes, I'm interested in the baby that's going to be released from the hospital tomorrow. Woke up, went to work thinking, it's not me, it's never been me. This is call number 9. 9 a.m., I'm at work and I get the call. Congratulations, you've been selected. Please get to the hospital by 12:30 to pick up the baby. I'm a single parent. That caused a freak out, as you can imagine. They could not provide me information on the diaper size she was in, the clothing size she was in, what formula she was on. Pure panic. Luckily, the support of JFS, who came with me to the hospital, my workers were there, they were at my home when we returned, help you get all of those services aligned, help you get those things you need immediately. Because what are you gonna do? Take a 5-day-old baby to Kroger? You'd like to not, especially mine, who was born in 2021 in the midst of COVID. They also provided support throughout. As a single parent, as you can imagine, working a full-time job, it can be difficult to manage all of the appointments that the child needs, all of the additional support they need. Being a child in JFS, that adds quite a few appointments to your book. And they were there the whole time supporting me with not only funding, which is important, daycare is not cheap, as you may know, and also for helping me in those instances where it's just the support you need. I did adopt my daughter when she was 1.5 years old, and she is still with me today. She'll be 5 next month. And the support continues to be important. You know, I know they mentioned things like Ohio Rise. That's a great program. I will tell you I qualified for their funding in September, and just last week I received the first help with that. So it is a process, as all things are when you work with the government. So yes, there are other supports, but the ones that we can access because of funding from this levy that are instantaneous and already available are so key to foster and adoptive parents. And they also allow for the stability throughout. I would have struggled immensely without the continued funding that I receive after adoption to adopt a child on my own. So I thank you for this consideration, and I'm full support of the levy.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Stefan Pryor. Stefan Pryor, come forth. Welcome.
How y'all doing, everyone in here? Well, my history about the Lighthouse. I didn't know that it was started in 1969 by a group of African-American women from the Cincinnati Baptist Women Fellowship. I remember a long time ago, my mama and grandma used to say, you keep acting bad, you're going to the Lighthouse. And I realized what the Lighthouse was all about. It's about helping the people, helping the children, helping young men like him. And I realized that. And today I'm here to support this levy. Make sure it passes. It will pass, because you got a lot of people want to, going to vote for this, Jeff. It's going to pass. I know it is, Jeff. So without this stable funding, many critical services would not be available. The need for many children for service and challenges. The children receive service today will shape our future. And the levy is an investment for the children and their future. The Children's Service Levy is more than just a tax measure. It is an investment in the safety and stability and future of success of Hamilton County children and families. I urge your support, ladies and gentlemen, making sure that y'all get out and vote when it's election time to make sure this passes, because it's very important if we don't. We all got to put boots on the ground behind me to make sure people vote. Young man, when you get older, it's time to vote, man. It's time to vote, no playing video games. So you got to make sure this stuff passes, because stuff like this. And on the Hamilton County part, y'all should lower property taxes anyway. I didn't mean that laugh from him. I'm dead up serious. Y'all need to lower property taxes because it's a shame it's hurting our seniors at the same time. But y'all can do a lot of things with these 3 best fine commissioners I'm looking in front of y'all. Y'all been doing a hell of a job this year, and keep it up. We're going to miss you, Miss Stephanie Dumas. I always tell folks when I leave, I love you and nothing you can do about it, okay? All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Ann Schooley.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I want to start by just letting everyone know that I'm here in my personal capacity, on my personal time, and all the opinions are my own and not those of my employer. There's a lot of talk about how much increase there has been in behavioral health costs for kids in JFS. I've been dealing with childhood mental illness in my own family for more than half a decade. And I want to just take this time to give you a quick glimpse into what that looks like and why these costs are so high and why this problem is so hard. This is what it looks like recently for me. 6 ER visits for mental health crises, being refused inpatient admission at 3 of them because, quote, you don't have any bruises, So it must not have been that bad. And he says he doesn't want to hurt anyone, so he doesn't meet admission criteria. 3 inpatient psychiatric stays, achieved only after hiring a private psychiatrist at $180 a session to call ahead to the hospital and say, you have to admit this child for his safety and his family's safety. Being discharged from the inpatient stay 48 hours after a major medication change before it even took effect. Being readmitted less than a week later after another crisis. Staff pushing for discharge despite the fact that they continually needed to restrain and at times sedate your child numerous times a day. 5 partial hospitalization programs, denied admission to 1 because he was too aggressive, kicked out of 2 for aggressive and violent behavior, completed 1, but there was no transition back to school, put us right back where we were, and currently praying that the one he's in now will be successful. Last year, I spent over 10% of my salary paying for my child's medical care. It's impacted every single bit of my life. At one point, I had no idea what I was going to do. I actually researched what it looked like to surrender my child to JFS and immediately felt like a horrible, terrible parent for even considering it. These problems don't go away. When they're left untreated, they continue into adulthood. All that does is kick the problem down the line. It results in increased costs for everyone in Hamilton County because you are dealing with addiction, incarceration, continued mental health issues, continued violence. It's a safety risk to the community, and it's a safety risk to those who need the mental health help. So I urge you to put a levy on the ballot that is going to allow these kids to receive the behavioral health care that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Jennifer Wallstedt. Jennifer Wallstedt.
Good afternoon, commissioners.
Afternoon.
So Jenny and I are presenting together. So my name is Erica Taylor. I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor.
I'm Jennifer Wallstead. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. We serve as lead supervisors at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, and we've spent the past decade providing psychiatric emergency services to children and adolescents in crisis. We are here today to express our strong support for Hamilton County Children's Services. For the past 6 years, we've seen an alarming rise in the number of children arriving in our emergency room in acute mental health crisis. These young people come to us carrying overwhelming emotional pain, suicidal thoughts and behaviors, self-harm, aggression, and profound distress rooted in trauma that has gone unaddressed for far too long. A disproportionate number of these children are in the custody of Hamilton County. Many have endured significant stressors. They have been removed from their homes and placed in foster care or group home settings while trying to cope with experiences far bigger than they are. Their emotional and behavioral needs are so extensive that these placements often break down, leaving them without a safe place to live and resulting in repeated stays in the emergency room. We work closely with Hamilton County, and we know their commitment to these children is unwavering. But the reality is the system is strained, placement options are limited, and resources are thin. Because of that, children sometimes remain in our ER overnight and sometimes for days until safe placement is located. This is called boarding and is not what we want for any of these children. It is frightening for them, destabilizing for their recovery, and contributes to backlogs in our emergency departments. But in these difficult moments, our partnership with JFS remains strong, and we have the same goals of safety, stability, and access to the right level of care for every child.
Recently, we cared for a young child with autism spectrum disorder who was brought to the emergency room by police after an unexpected placement disruption. The child arrived scared, confused, and overwhelmed by the sensory intensity of the emergency room. Within a couple of hours, PERT clinicians and JFS representatives were able to come together to review the child's needs, identify the most appropriate next placement, and coordinate the supports necessary to make that transition safe. While the emergency room was not the ideal environment, collaboration allowed this child to leave with a plan, with support, and with hope. This level of responsiveness is only possible when JFS has a robust level of adequately trained staff, access to resources, and capacity to fully participate in crisis response. When their team is supported, they can respond quickly, develop thoughtful safety plans, follow through on next steps, and reduce the number of traumatic transitions that these children experience. Adequate funding strengthens every part of the system. It makes crisis response faster, it makes placement safer, and it improves outcomes. Supporting this levy means supporting children who have already endured far too much. It means reducing trauma rather than compounding it. And it means giving our most vulnerable youth a real chance at stability, healing, and an opportunity for a better future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Erica Taylor. Erica Taylor. Oh, okay. You could have had a few more minutes. Yeah. Okay. Elise Reed. Elise Reed. You gonna tag team again? Okay. Okay. All three of you speaking?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
My name is Elise Reed. I work at JFS. My current role is as a supervisor for an emergency response team. These are two of my workers that I have brought with me today to talk to you a little bit about what an emergency response looks like for us. We have certain state mandates for timeframes for when we have to respond. The deputy that spoke earlier talked about what some of those look like. And some of them we have less than an hour to respond to a scene, usually because police are on scene for very significant. And this is Melissa and Malika, and they will tell you some examples of things that we have responded to recently, just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like.
Hello, my name is Malika McCoy. Again, I'm a children's services worker. I've been with the county for 13 years. Some of the things that we respond to, and these are things that I've responded to personally. A 1.5-year-old that has been home alone for 5 days because both of his parents overdosed, and nobody knew. Mother who was killed outside of her children's school because she was shot at. Lots of incidents of domestic violence. And so when we are needed in these emergency situations, like my supervisor said, a lot of times we have an hour or less to respond due to the nature of the incident. And our job is not a 40-hour-a-week job. So the levy not only helps us to do our job, but it helps to put these children who we respond to in these emergency situations into services that they need to deal with the trauma that they've just gone through.
Hi, my name is Melissa Taylor. I've been with the agency for 32 years. I've worked in various roles of children's services. I've always pretty much been a frontline worker. I was on the hotline for about 23 years, working days and nights. There are situations where, like Malika said, there is an immediate response. Police are on scene, someone's overdosed, someone's being arrested, a child's left alone, and we have to respond within an hour. Then we have to assess that situation, and many times we would be bringing that child back to our agency until we either located family if the child was alone or found a placement for the child. After that, we developed a pilot program. We were pulled off the hotline. I've been in that program for 5 years, where we respond to emergency situations. So we get calls off the hotline, and then we respond to those. Some of them are priority ones where we have to respond within an hour. And like the officer had said, you know, we are needed immediately on scene. I have dealt with a number of cases where they are so significant, children dying, parents overdosing. I remember one case many years ago where a mother was deceased in her house, and police were on scene, and there were 5 children, and he needed help, and he was waiting for the coroner to respond. So myself and a coworker had gone to that residence, and we had to entertain the kids upstairs. These kids did not know their mom passed away. We tried to entertain them so they didn't know exactly what was going on, nor did they have to see the horror of their mom laying on the floor with a sheet over her. The coroner finally arrived, and we were able to get custody of the children and take them back to our agency, where we had to tell these kids that their mom had passed away. Not only that, we're seeing this kind of trauma. It's traumatizing for us too, and we have to continue our job every day. We are the crisis hotline. We are the crisis line to these families. If Children's Service Levy does not pass, I can't imagine it's a disservice to our children and to these families. Another situation that I had dealt with was a 4-year-old who only weighed 24 pounds. He was the same weight of his sister that was 18 months old. I had responded to that situation, and when I did, this child was bruised up quite badly on various parts of his body. He was immediately transported to Cincinnati Children's, where we found out he had multiple broken bones and a lacerated liver. I believe that if we weren't involved in that family, this child would have died. This child was basically saved. The parents got arrested. This child is now in foster care and he is safe. So I'm just here to support the levy. I'm here to continue. There's a reason I'm still here after 32 years. It's very hard. It's not an easy job. It's very taxing. As Malika said, this is not a job that you can do in 40 hours. But the reason I'm here is there is at least one good story out of 10 where I've saved somebody or I've helped them. And I've been here long enough that I've seen the continuous pattern of a child becoming a mother and a mother becoming a grandmother. So I'm hoping that this levy can pass so we can continue to do the job that we're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you all. Okay. Matthew Gillen. Matthew Gillen.
All right. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having this opportunity for us to share our thoughts. And I wanted to share briefly, both as a person and as the leader of American Legacy Theater, we have been fortunate enough to work in partnership with a number of the people and the agencies, the organizations that are present here, in working with a number of our children in need all over Hamilton County. Last year alone, we were working with over 8,000 youth that are living at federal poverty levels, and unfortunately we know that's disproportionately the number of children who are dealing with homelessness, with home transition, and family instability at times. Most recently, we are working right now with Project Connect through Cincinnati Public Schools with this exact target population of children who are in need. And I've got countless numbers of stories, but I want to share just in the last week, we worked in the classroom with a group of about 35 children between the ages of 8 and 10. And within 3 minutes of that session, there were about 2 or 3 children who broke out into a fist fight, completely wanting to tear each other apart. And yet, when we were able to break the children apart and calm them down through breathing exercises, through meditation exercises, presence, mindfulness, we asked the children, we said, what set you off? And each one of them said, I don't quite know. And that's the challenge that our kids are dealing with each day, is they can't verbalize the situation that's going up against them. They were able to calm down. No one else got hurt. No one was injured severely. And by the end of the session, the children at large wanted to stay around and be there for one another. So again, I'll encourage this to move forward. I'm a big supporter of it personally. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Malika McCoy. Malika McCoy. Okay. Melissa Taylor. Seems like I heard that. You guys. Latora Pitts. Welcome.
Ms. Dietrich asked me to speak. She didn't tell me it was going to be on this type of forum, but I'm here. So she asked me to talk about why Gateway to Success. Gateway to Success is more than a group home. Youth who enter Gateway do not feel like group home kids. They're our kids. Instead, they experience a genuine sense of belonging, acceptance, and support. The staff at Gateway are deeply committed to investing in the lives of the youth they serve. They create a safe, nurturing environment where young people are encouraged to be themselves, express their feelings, and build meaningful relationships. Staff engage in the difficult but necessary conversations that help youth develop life skills, make informed decisions, and prepare them for adulthood. Gateway recognizes that healing and growth require comprehensive support. Youth participate in weekly therapy sessions and have access to crisis intervention services when additional support is needed 24/7. That means taking calls at 1 a.m., walking through neighborhoods where you wouldn't typically walk through because one of our youth are having crash outs. Academically, Gateway is equally committed to success. When a youth begins to struggle in school, educational support is immediately provided through daily tutoring and individualized assistance. This dedication to education has contributed to Gateway's remarkable 100% graduation rate. Life at Gateway extends far beyond meeting basic needs. Youth are encouraged to experience life to the fullest through vacations, sports, participating in sports, birthday celebrations, prom send-offs, and other memorable experiences. These opportunities help build confidence, create positive memories, and foster a sense of normalcy and belonging. Gateway to Success operates with a mission centered on nurturing, teaching, and helping youth work through trauma. This trauma approach creates an atmosphere where young people feel safe, valued, heard, and understood. As a result, youth are more willing to communicate openly, build healthy relationships, and embrace their authentic selves. By creating a culture of support, accountability, and opportunity, Gateway to Success provides exactly what its name promises, a gateway to success for youth who need it the most in their most trying times. That is my why.
Thank you. Jean Colbert. Sit this over here. He's here, okay. Welcome.
Good afternoon. First, I want to start off by saying Gateway is an amazing and caring group home, and here are some of the reasons why. Before I got to Gateway, I felt like I wasn't like traditional kids. I felt like being in the system wasn't normal. But when I came to Gateway to Success, my whole perspective on group homes changed for the first time. I felt like I had a strong support team and people who have my back. Gateway to Success is a place that makes sure you leave the program ready to go out in the world, ready for whatever the world has in plan for you. So this is the reason why the levy should be passed, so that more children can go to a place like Gateway to Success, so children can be fortunate enough to experience a life that every child deserves to experience.
Thank you so much. All right. Vic Parsons.
Good afternoon. My name is Vic. I just want to take a moment and speak about Gateway and my experience in Gateway. I've experienced things that I feel like I would not have experienced if I was with family. I mean, we've went on trips, we flew on planes, we go a lot of places, and they've showed me more love in 2 years that I've been here than I've had my life in my whole life. So that's what I wanted to say.
That's great. Thank you. All right. Okay, Raymir Evans. Welcome.
How you guys doing?
Good,
I'm Raymir Evans, part of the Gateway family. Me and Wayne, my direct care staff, me and him, one-on-one. We've been together seems like forever. But this young man came to us with a lot of health issues, and we worked week by week, going in and out of the hospital, whether it's infusions, whether it's physical, it's a struggle. But me and this young man, we work hard. So we definitely support the levy. We need it. He teaches me a lot. I learn a lot. We go through a lot, and we keep striving every day. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right. Damon Hensley.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I am one of Deetra's independent living kids. I just want to say her independent living program has really helped me a lot, more possibly than my own father. She has taught me how to manage my money, budget my money, save my money, and right now I have almost $5,000 in my account from paying her rent and saving it up over time. She has taught me a lot of things that I possibly wouldn't have learned in my own household. I do support the levy 100%, and that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Sion Boyd. Welcome.
My name is Sion Boyd. I am 12 years old, and
Use your microphone right there. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I am 12 years old, and I haven't really been in foster home, but when I got, took it away, it was very heartbroken. But when I came and like the stuff they had for us, it was very good. And also, like when my mom couldn't have the time to get like mental stuff for us or whatever, Miss Deetra had that plan. And my mom couldn't also take us on planes because she felt like that we was going to be lost or whatever. So I experienced plane rides to Gateway to Success and a lot of stuff to Gateway to Success. So just shout out to Miss Deetra, and she's the best. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. That was awesome. That was awesome. Joanna Glover.
Hello, everyone. Let me get my extra set of eyes on. Hello, good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Joanna Glover, and I serve as Chief Program Officer for YWCA Greater Cincinnati. I am here today to encourage you to place Children's Service Levy on the ballot at an amount that ensures that non-mandated essential services for children and families remain funded. Through our partnership with Hamilton County Job and Family Services for over 10 years, probably 15, YWCA provides domestic violence intervention services through CWDVC, our education services, and Safe Care as an evidence-based home visitation program for families with young children. These programs help keep children safe. They strengthen our families, and they prevent future involvement in more costly systems. Last year, our Child Welfare Domestic Violence Connection program served over 600 individuals. That impacted 1,480 children within our county. We help survivors obtain protection orders, navigate the court system, and create safer environments for their families. In one recent case, our advocacy helped the survivor secure ongoing protections from a very high-risk offender, allowing the parent to move toward reunification with their children and to a safer future. Through Safe Care, we served 143 families, and we went and provided 520 home visits. One family entered the program struggling with co-parenting and communication challenges. By the end of the program, they had strengthened their parenting partnership, their children had returned home, and JFS was preparing to close the case successfully. These outcomes are possible because of the investments in prevention and early intervention. While some of these services may not be state mandated, they are essential to protecting our children, supporting families, and reducing long-term costs to our community. I respectfully ask you to support a levy amount that protects both mandated and essential services to Hamilton County families so that they can continue receiving the support they need before crisis and tragedies. As a resident and a CPO in Hamilton County, I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you so much. Eliza Elliott. Eliza Elliott, okay. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Ulisa Elliott. I am a youth advocate for the My First Place Independent Living Program through New Path, Child and Family Solutions. I have with me Alana Johnson today. She is one of our foster youth in our program, and she's been in one of these before, so she knows what to do. But before she speaks, I just want to say that as a family case manager previously that worked for Child Services in Indiana, and then coming here to Ohio and being a youth advocate for foster youth, so being on that other side, it has really been an eye-opener. We've been able to connect these youth to so many resources they didn't know existed. And honestly, I don't know where I would be without them. So I'll let her speak now and tell her experience.
Hello, my name is Alana Johnson. I'm 20. I'll be emancipating out of JFS custody in 3 months. The levy is important to me because I came from an abusive household, was in the juvenile detention center, but because of programs like a Lighthouse, I was able to get on my feet, learn life skills. Then I transitioned to New Path Child and Family Solutions, and they have a financial literacy class. They offer a lot of different things for me that I didn't know about, just like Miss Elisa said. I didn't know it existed. I wouldn't have thought anything better of myself if I hadn't been a part of New Path. And I just want to thank New Path and push for the levy because it is very important so we can get more youth like me who are in courtrooms like this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Jennifer Ryan. Jennifer Ryan.
Hello.
Hello.
Way to skip the hard part of the last name.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mess it up.
Totally fine. My name is Jen, and I'm not only a Hamilton County resident homeowner, I'm a social worker, a therapist of 20 years, and a therapeutic foster parent, which is why I'm here today. Over the last several years, my husband and I have provided respite, first respite, and then we eventually fell in love with kids and or the foster kids and became licensed. So for the last 3 years, we've been a therapeutic foster home. In early 2024, I found myself alone in a hospital room with my 3-month-old foster son. It was his 4th hospitalization, and I had just partially revived him on our living room floor. I watched what I thought was him dying. At his worst moment, our JFS workers showed up. Not once, but actually 3 times during hospitalization. He walked through that hospital room door, sat with me, and he prayed as he thought he was seeing Nova for the last time. And then he did something I'll never forget. He pushed Nova's birth mom to come see her sick son. She hadn't been following through, but he knew the importance of that bond. And I'm glad I agreed to monitor those hospital room visits between Nova and his birth mom. Now, Nova's mom's story ended tragically, but because of the workers' decision, I watched truly beautiful moments between a mother and her child, moments I'll be able to tell my son Nova about when he's older. That's what a resource-committed caseworker looks like in action. Right now, I'm watching another story unfold in my home, 2 toddlers and a mother who at her lowest point was ready to give up. Their county caseworker went into criminal court, advocating for her release to visit with her children. She pushed for her to see her children when she had nearly stopped fighting. And I'm certain that one act gave that mother the push to keep going. We now have a wonderful, supportive relationship with the foster children's mother and father. And with the support of services like Beach Acres parenting classes, mental health resources, and positive relationships with us, I believe those children will go home, and they actually are going home pretty soon. And we're committed to them for the long haul. Our Beach Acres worker has helped us in many ways, from advocating at the right level of care to daily support when days are tough, and with 3 toddlers under 3, well, there's some tough days. But these are the wins. And I'm telling you about them because they're not accidents. They happen when resources are there. But everyday foster families, caseworkers, agencies are asked to do more with less. And when the resources aren't there, it shows up too. It shows up in siblings who are separated. It shows up in burnout, children who never learn to trust again, less foster homes, and a teenager coming home to their kinship home, to their life packed in trash bags because they weren't even given the resources to do enough for her. It shows up in foster parent burnout, like I said. Children's services and the provider networks are the difference between a child in crisis and a child who thrives, between a family that fractures and a family that heals. And the workers I've described didn't just do their jobs. They changed the trajectory of lives. But they can only do that when they're supported, staffed, and resourced to fully show up, and I'm asking you to make sure they can. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, George Gray. George, I don't know if it's Gray or not. They didn't want to continue.
Me, I'm used to that.
Okay.
George Guy, my terrible handwriting.
Okay.
Madam Commissioners, Administrator, and the county staff. Good afternoon. My name is George Guy, and I have the privilege of serving as the President and CEO of Lighthouse Youth and Family Services. Every day, our team works alongside young people and families across Hamilton County who are experiencing homelessness, family instability, trauma, and crisis. We see firsthand the complex challenges many of our youth are facing and the critical need for strong systems of support. That is why I am here today in strong support of the Hamilton County Children's Services Levy. For many young people, Children's Services is the first and sometimes the only lifeline available to them. When intervention comes early, families can stabilize, children can remain safe, and young people can begin to heal and move forward. When support is delayed or unavailable, challenges often escalate into deeper crises that carry greater human and financial costs for our community. This levy ensures that critical services remain available for children and families when they need it the most. It also shows organizations like Lighthouse to continue partnering with Hamilton County to provide safe, shelter, housing programs, and supportive services that help young people regain stability and reconnect to opportunity. At Lighthouse, we know that the right support, young people do more to survive. They heal, grow, and build healthy, independent futures. When we invest in children and families, we invest in the future of Hamilton County. These young people will become our workforce, our neighbors, and our community leaders. Providing support early is not only the right thing to do, it is a smart investment that strengthens our entire community. I respectfully urge your support of the Children's Levy being placed on the ballot. Every young person deserves safety, stability, and an opportunity to succeed. Strong systems create strong futures, and this levy is essential to both. Thank you.
Thank you. I almost didn't know who you were without your bow tie. Yeah. Q Callwood. Q Callwood? Okay, very good. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. It's my first time, so bear with me.
Fine, yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Quadero Callwood. Me and my husband have been foster parents for nearly 10 years between Hamilton County and Florida. During the time, we've welcomed more than 32 children into our home. In Ohio, if Ohio allowed more than 10 children in the home, we more than likely exceed that limit. Recently, foster parents were told that 352 children needed placement in a 30-day period, yet only 12 were matched with homes. More than 160 of those children were over the age of 10. Those aren't statistics, that's us. They're children with names, dreams, fears, and hopes. When we talk about supporting foster families, we're talking about supporting children, because foster parents don't have the resources and support needed to continue saying yes. If we don't have the support and resources to continue to say yes, where do the children go? What becomes their story? And who will be their light when they need it the most? Who will answer the phone in the middle of the night, and who will provide a safe bed, warm meal, and reassurance for them when they feel alone? Every child deserves someone willing to say, yes, you matter, you belong, and you're safe here. The levy helps make those moments possible. I urge you to support the levy and continue investing in the children of Hamilton County. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tanya Berkeley. Tanya Berkeley. Welcome.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm here as a private individual today to discuss some of the work that I get to do as I work in Hamilton County. On top of the services that are mandated that JFS provides, we also provide some specialized ongoing services to both our young parents and families that suffer from substance use disorders. So specifically talking about family treatment court, those families are 75% less likely to re-engage in substance use and 99% less likely to get arrested again for drug-related offenses. Additionally, less than 2% of those families experience permanent custody. I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous. Additionally, we have a program that serves young parents. So when children are in our permanent custody and they become parents, and then become involved in an abuse or neglect case, they get a specialized caseworker to address their case. This caseworker does extreme work that goes above and beyond what our normal ongoing caseworkers do. She teaches grocery shopping, how to parent, safe sleep, sitting in rooms for doctor's appointments, teaching people how to ride the bus, the way you navigate being a young parent and going to school. I jokingly call it baby boot camp because when you finish her program, you've graduated high school, you are in your own apartment, you are working or in college, and you have your children. She has only had one of her children experience having her parental rights terminated. So the work that we get to do at JFS is special and meaningful, but it also changes the lives, not just lives of the families that we serve, but the lives of their neighbors and the providers and just the citizens of Hamilton County. And I think that it's important work that we need to be allowed to continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Lasha Coffey. Tell me what that is.
Said it right the first time.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Peace, you all. Before you consider additional funding for Hamilton County Job and Family Services, I ask you to consider the words of the Ohio First District Court of Appeals in my case. The court wrote that HCJFS failed to prove by clear and convincing evidence that the twins were neglected and that all 6 children were dependent. The court further stated that the parents staring down suicidal thoughts should not be forced to choose between making a life-saving phone call and losing custody of their children. I am that mother. What makes this especially difficult is that I stood in this very room before this very board in 2023, approximately 3 months after my children were removed, asking for accountability and asking for help. Today, I'm back in front of this same board with the Court of Appeals decision confirming that HCJFS failed to prove neglect or dependency. Recently, I heard Commissioner Driehaus state that fewer caseworkers means higher caseloads and greater risk to children. I agree that children who are truly at risk deserve protection, but before taxpayers are asked to nearly double the cost of this levy, we should also ask whether the agency is using its current resources effectively and responsibly. For 2 years, 11 months, and 21 days, taxpayer resources were spent litigating a case involving my 6 children. The Court of Appeals ultimately reversed the findings of neglect and dependency. During that time, reunification was not the goal. Reunification was not the goal. Public funds were spent on foster care, Medicaid, food assistance, supervised visitation, attorneys, guardian ad litems, evaluations, court proceedings, and years of litigation. Meanwhile, I spent more than $100,000 of my own money fighting to reunify my family. What about the families that don't have the income to fight like I did? If additional funding is necessary, where are the measurements of success? How many removals are later overturned? How much time is spent on cases that ultimately fail to meet the legal standard? How many families are unnecessarily separated? How much is spent fighting parents who are later proven correct? The question before this board should not simply be whether HCJFS needs more money. The question should be whether taxpayers have been shown that existing funds are producing the outcomes that were promised. I asked for accountability in this room in 2023. I'm asking for accountability again today. Before approving additional funding, I urge this board to require transparency, measurable outcomes, and independent review of how taxpayer dollars are being spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne Hagopian. Joanne Hagopian. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you for having us today. I'm here with Pro Kids. I've been part of the board for nearly 20 years. We've seen up close and personal the abuse and neglect that the children in our community suffer. We value our partnerships with JFS because every day we're trying to help those vulnerable children. I have the biggest advocate for children in our community right beside me in Tracy Cook, and I'll let her take over.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you today. I'm so heartened by what I've heard from people today, no matter what they've expressed. And I could not be more encouraged by the youth, especially who have spoken to you today. At Pro Kids, we have the honor to serve last year over 1,100 children who are in the child protection system. Our role is as best interest advocates appointed by Hamilton County Juvenile Court. We're full legal parties to the case. And in my 30 plus years doing this work, I will admit I joined the staff in '93 as an attorney. Don't do the calculations. But that is a front row seat. We are invested in these children's lives every day. We are visiting them. We are talking to their parents, their service providers, their foster care parents, their teachers, etc. And what I can tell you is this system is at a breaking point. I have never seen it under such strain. So if we think of this as our community's safety net, and yes, we know you all through the levy are providing 70% of the funds that Hamilton County uses for child protection. But this safety net is already strained. The gaps are too big. If it becomes more strained, more children are going to fall through it. You know, on any given day in court cases where the county is a legal party and we are too, imagine what we're doing is sometimes disagreeing mightily. And what Hamilton County Job and Family Services knows is that we are passionate advocates, and that means sometimes fighting in court. But what we also do is partner with all sorts of people in child protection about what the needs are for the system to change. But I think the first thing we have to unfortunately acknowledge is the state of our community. We unfortunately are the county in Ohio that has the largest percent of our child population in the child protection system of any of the 8 major metro areas. So what I'm saying is the decision we're making right now as a community, the decision you make about how much to fund this levy, the decision we make as a community in November as voters, is going to entirely determine what happens to a growing number of children who are pouring into the system. We have a fundamental choice. Are we going to be the committed community that cares for children and that every community would want to benchmark against us because that's our commitment? And I don't mean just in Ohio, I mean in the country. Or are we going to surrender to despair? And that is fundamentally the choice. Our vision is a safe, permanent, and nurturing home for every child. And we have been so lucky to mobilize so many community members to help us with that. And to be clear, we receive not a dime from the levy, not directly or indirectly. So I'm coming to you as an observer who watches how the county acts as a custodian. If we are going to take children from the only families they've ever known, and we know that is trauma to prevent further trauma, then we damn well better get it right. And what that means is not placing them with a custodian who is unable to meet their basic needs. There is a proud history in this community of how this community has risen to the occasion time and time again to support the Children's Services Levy. And so my plea and my encouragement is that you will consider a maximal amount to fund this levy. And what I'm saying is looking at, we've poured over every detail of everything that's publicly available, from the Tax Levy Review Committee report to the consultant's report to data around the state, is at least $200 million, if not the maximum. We have to have this or kids are gonna fall through the safety net.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Real quickly, my name is Stephen Brown. I serve as the president for the Board of Trustees for ProKids. I'm the next one on there.
Okay.
And again, just echoing Tracy and Joanne about how much we support the levy and how vital it is to what's going on right now. And I will leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who came. Did anyone fill out a card and we didn't get you? Okay. Yes, sir. What's your name?
Chris Forts.
Okay. I don't have a card, but we'll have you fill one out when you're done. Okay. Okay.
Good afternoon, commissioners.
afternoon.
Thank you for your service to our community and for giving us the opportunity to share our thoughts, for me to add my small voice to the chorus. Recently had opportunity to engage with the kinship foster program through Child Protective Services, and in my brief encounter and limited keyhole view, I saw a staff that was committed, engaged, focused, overworked, underpaid, and near the breaking point. I don't support a 2 mil increase. I think you should double it. We should be leading the nation in how we care for the children in our community, not trailing it. We certainly should be leading in the state. It's not a partisan issue, shouldn't be a partisan issue. So I say this without hoping no one throws tomatoes at me, but I'm a Republican, and I can't think of a better place to put tax dollars than in protecting the children in our community and having the finest child protective services system, and not just in the state, but in the nation. I didn't really prepare anything, so give me 1 second. In my opinion, the stipend amount for parents who join the system is insufficient. The dollars, the resources should be available to, although I chose to give it back, the resources should be there to hire the finest staff in the country. The resources should be there to ensure that parents who join the system don't have to worry about how they're going to provide the necessities for the children in their care. The guardians ad litem, the caseworkers, the case managers should all be given an opportunity to take a break from the heart-wrenching experiences they have to encounter on a daily basis. So thank you again for your thoughts.
Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. Now I'm wondering, I don't have to close this, do I? Or should I close it here and then we have the other one? Okay. So, all righty. Thanks, everybody. And so we'll be hearing more about the levy. And thank you for bringing your signs, your energy, and your information and your passion. So at this point, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Thank you. So I see our engineer's here. He's been waiting a while. We'll do him, and then we'll have maybe a short break.
I promise I won't take more than a half hour or so.
Welcome. Thank you for being so nice about that. So, yeah.
Thank you. This is the public hearing for the 2026 Municipal Road Fund. Per the Ohio Revised Code, the County Engineer's Office receives a portion of motor vehicle license tax, which are deposited into our Municipal Permissive Auto Tax Fund. They're set aside to be allocated to roads and bridges in municipalities. We have provided you with a list of 14 applications we received this year, totaling project totals $3,742,560. This is more than we typically provide for this fund, but we are recommending that we fund all 14 of the projects this year since we do have a balance in our fund program. So we are recommending that all 14 of the projects be funded this year. This is an opportunity for any municipalities or jurisdictions to have any comments on this.
Well, I see you say 14, but I only see 13 on here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's misnumbered. There are 14 there. It's just misnumbered. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Good question. Good catch.
Yeah. Very good. Vice President Reese, any comments?
Yes, on the one that says Cincinnati.
Yes.
Can you, which
That is the agreement between the city of Cincinnati and the county engineer's office to maintain bridges within the city of Cincinnati that are the jurisdiction of the county engineer. We have an agreement with them to pay $1 million per year for them to maintain and inspect those bridges. So that's an annual amount that we do for the city of Cincinnati.
Gotcha. But this, I just want to bring this up. The Western Hill Viaduct again, is this part of that, or because it's in the city, or is that
Part of it may be going to that, but it covers all of the county responsible bridges within the city. This is not specifically directed to the viaduct.
Gotcha. Is there any way we can, in the future, get a list of what bridges that they do that year with the money that we put in?
The city gives us a report annually on that, and our agreement is renewed every 5 years by the commissioners. So yes, I can get that report for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse. Okay. I make a motion to, well, do we need to have?
No, this will be the only hearing for this. You can close this, and then we will bring the resolution back to you with this list of projects to approve.
Thank you so much. Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have, I'm going to ask my colleagues how they want to play this. I know Eric's been waiting a while, but we can either be troopers and just go through everything on here, or we could another option is have Eric present the engineer part, take a quick break, and come back and deal with everything on here. So how would you like to do it, Vice President Reese?
I think definitely let the engineer move forward, and then I'll defer to either one of you all if we need a small break.
Yeah, so I too would like to hear from the engineer, and I don't need a break. Unless everybody, but
let's keep going.
I would prefer.
Power through.
You guys look like you've aged since we started the meeting.
She said we look aged. Wait a minute.
No. We started the meeting.
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's get going.
I think I've aged too.
Okay,
so yeah. All right, 5 items today. Item 1 and 2 are related. Item 1 is a resolution rejecting the bids for project 502409, which is the Winton Road Bridge improvement in Forest Park. We opened bids on April 30th. We had 4 bidders, and all the bids were above the allowable amount that we can accept. They ranged from 27 to 39% over our engineer's estimate. So item number 1 is rejecting all those bids. After that we opened those, we went back and reevaluated with ODOT because there's federal money in this, reevaluated our engineer's estimate and revised it. So item number 2 is a resolution to rebid the same project with a new engineer's estimate of $2,300,000. This project is 80% funded by the Federal Highway Administration bridge formula, and the other 20% is from permissive auto. There is enough money in the grant and the permissive auto to afford this new revised estimate, so we would like to move forward with bidding that out with a new estimate. Item 3 is awarding the bid for the 2026 line striping program, project 502612, located in various townships. We opened these bids on April 30th as well. Aeromark Company was the lowest bidder. The engineer's estimate was $368,000. The bid amount was $373,000, which was 1.4% over the estimate, which is within the amount we can award. So the funding for that will come out of the Road and Bridge Fund with the completion date of this October. Item number 4 is a bid award for the 2026 sidewalk program, which is project 502601, located in Colerain, Delhi, and Green Townships. We opened those bids on May 7th. Dad's Bobcat Service was a low bidder. The engineer's estimate was $93,456. The low bid amount being $87,483. So it was under our estimate. Funding for that will come out of the Road and Bridge Fund with completion in October of this year. Item number 5 is a resolution for the East Miami River Road Bridge project, which is Bridge 1047. in Colerain Township. We would like, if it goes out to bid, we'll open bids on July 16th. The engineer's estimate is $643,690.96. Funding from the permissive auto funds and a completion date of January of 2027.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments? No questions? I make a motion to adopt items 1 through 5.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I think we'll take a short 5-minute break. I make a motion to take, make a motion to take a 5-minute break.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Okay. Welcome back. We're back in session. We're going to get this done and you're the one that need the break.
I was in the room the whole time.
The whole time.
Just waiting on everybody.
All righty. So let's get going. We have MSD to come forth. And they have a few items.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Lauren DeGracia with MSD. Starting off with item 6. This is legislation to authorize construction of the Loveland Madeira Road local sewer for house numbers 9645 and 9657. This project will provide available sewer service to 2 single-family homes in Sims Township. Both of the owners support the project and have waived the public hearing. We're requesting $186,100 for construction, but this will come out of the 2026 Household Sewage Treatment System Elimination Allowance.
Second.
Sure.
Yeah. Can somebody run on the elevator and go down and catch Mayor Smith? I just don't want to ignore him. He was here for a consent item, and I'd like for him to, if we can catch him. He doesn't move as fast as he used to, though. Okay, Anson's going. Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I thought he was going to wait a little bit.
No, you're fine. Okay, thank you. So item 6 will not be an add to the capital budget for us. Moving on to item 7, this is legislation to provide additional design funding for the Muddy Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant UV Disinfection Replacement Project. This project is what it sounds like and is necessary to meet regulatory requirements. We are requesting an additional $180,613 for the project's design. The next item is legislation to provide additional design funding for the Rambling Ridge Drive and Twin Willow Lane local sewer, which will provide sewer service to 75 properties in Coleraine Township. This project has a 52% level of support, so we will need a public hearing on this one once the design is completed and we're ready to proceed to construction. Today we're requesting $162,200 for design. This will also come out of our 2026 HSTS elimination allowance and not an additional appropriation. Item 9 is a resolution to appropriate additional design funding for the Rapid Run and Foley Road Pump Station Receiver Manhole Installation Project. This project will replace a pump station and install receiver manholes to better facilitate maintenance activities, reduce pollutant discharge, and extend the useful life of the assets. We're requesting an additional $596,000 for design. And the next item, item 10, is legislation to authorize construction of the Central to McMicken at Stark Street sewer replacement. This project will address approximately 1,200 feet of sewers ranging in about 5 to 8 feet in diameter. We're requesting $2,920,143 for construction. This amount is $165,000 over the amount indicated in the CIP. The increases are due to costs for concrete repairs as well as labor. And lastly, item 11 is a resolution to cancel the Pottinger Road sewer lateral for house number 10470. This is a project to provide a sewer lateral to a single property. It was designed in-house and the board authorized construction and appropriated approximately $45,000 in 2025. We've since advertised for bids and received just one bid, which was 308% higher than the appropriated amount. So we could not award the contract and at this point do not recommend proceeding with the project due to cost. There are no nuisance conditions associated with the system at this property. The owner is fine to continue maintaining their system. And public health is also on board, recognizing that it's just cost prohibitive. And that's all I have today.
Thank you. I just had a general question. I saw 2 of them indicated add a project. So it was on your list, but you're currently adding it on for our overlook and approval. Is this actually a new project when you said add a project on?
So if it's not, sure.
6 and 8.
So we always do that for the assessment projects. I shouldn't say always. We generally do that for the assessment projects. We amend the CIP to add those projects. They're typically not included in the CIP when the board approves those in December for the following year.
All righty, thank you. Vice President Reese.
No questions at this time.
Mr. Driehaus? Okay. Thank you. I make a motion to adopt items 6 through 11.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we'll, we did not go through our comments and motions for each commissioner. I don't know if it'll be a while before we meet again. Is that something you guys want to do very quickly?
Yeah, but should we go through the calendar and then come back?
Huh?
You want to go through the consent calendar and then come
Okay.
back?
All righty. Let's go through the consent then.
Happy to,
'Cause I might be
commissioners.
gone, yeah.
The consent agenda starts with item 12. I've been asked to walk through these in a measured way, as opposed to just tearing straight through them. Item number 12, commissioners, it's actually an appointment, Commissioner. I don't know if you want to formally do it, if you'd like me just to read through it.
I certainly can do it. Okay.
I had a question to answer though. These two people have the same name and they're both going on the zoning. Can you help us with that?
Yeah, Commissioner, I don't yet have the.
Or same last name,
They-
Mark
they do have
Rosenberg.
the same last name. I don't yet have a response to that,
They
but
are,
I can.
think father and son, and yeah, father and son.
Okay.
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 That's fine.
So I'll just read it, and then if we have comments, for sure. Resolution 12, appointing members to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Mark Rosenberger, Nathan Rosenberger. So is there discussion as it relates to that, Vice President?
I was just confused by this type of, I haven't seen this type of appointments. But I would assume, I guess we didn't have anybody interested either, so I'm willing to move forward.
Okay. Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yeah, I had the same question. I thought the father was moving off and
I
the son
did
was
too.
moving
That's
on.
that's what's going. Yeah,
so
there's
they're
one
not
moving.
gonna serve at the same time, is my understanding.
Correct. There's one alternate.
Yeah, it just says appointing, though. It doesn't say, we don't vote on people getting off. Go.
Use your
Madam
mic.
Clerk.
So the son is the alternate right now on our board, and the father was on our board, and the father is now going to become the alternate. And I think it's Nathan is the son's name, so he's now going to be on the board.
Okay.
So they're just swapping.
That clarifies it.
Thank you.
All right, so I make a motion to adopt item 12.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Thank you.
And Commissioner, item 13 is a appointment as well.
Okay, resolution appointing members to the Economic and Community Support Advisory Council, Zaya Hewitt and Tanae Amat. Any discussion?
No questions.
I think there will be great additions. I know Tanae Amat, I do know, and she's very active in the community. I make a motion to adopt item 13.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. And picking up on item 14, this directs facilities to fly the America 250 flag at county buildings in recognition of the National Semi-Quincentennial. Item 15 is a resolution directing facilities to fly the Disability Pride flags at county buildings in honor of Disability Pride Month. Item 16 is a resolution, an agreement between Messer Construction and the Board of County Commissioners related to these construction management services for Paycor Stadium at $20.2 million. This is part of the overall $350 million renovation cost. The board had previously approved the agreement with Messer, but it asked that the agreement come back when it was fully negotiated. Item number 17 appropriates various state grants for the state fiscal year in the amount of $21.8 million. That is for EMA, Juvenile Court, and Mental Health Recovery and Services Board. Item number 18 is a budget adjustment for projects in the engineer's office, facilities, and in various restricted funds in the amount of $20.5 million. The vast majority of those are within the engineer's office. Item number 19 authorizes an amendment to the agreement with CDF for $500,000. That was approved by the board at the April 30th meeting. This is the agreement that just memorializes that amendment. Item number 20, in a similar manner, is an agreement with Council on Aging, an amendment for a $100,000 amendment to the existing agreement with Council on Aging for senior home utility assistance. You'll recall there was some money that Strategies to End Homelessness had given back. They weren't able to implement it. This is that dollars. These are those dollars. That's on top of the $187,000 that we had done previously with Council on Aging. Items 21 through 23, Commissioners, relates back to the Children's Services Levy. These are resolutions requesting millage calculations from the auditor's office for the three options that the TLRC had presented as a part of their work. By passing these are not placing these on the ballot. Obviously, this is just asking the auditor to come up with the revenue totals in accordance with these millage amounts. To the degree the board would like us to do additional requests to the auditor, we can always do that between now and the board's vote. It does take them about a week to a week and a half to turn those around, which is why we want to do them as quickly as possible so the board has that information. Items 24 and 25 are then and now certifications with Environmental Services and Veteran Services Commission. Item 26, Commissioners, is a purchase order in the amount of $392,400. This relates to the sheriff's new fingerprinting system. Item number 27, 27 and 28 are sheriff vehicles. One Ford F-150 and two Dodge Durangos. The former in the amount of $45,313. The latter two in the amount of $78,476. Item number 29 is a then and now with the Clerk of Courts for $2,828. Items 30 and 31 relate to vertical transportation contracts and awards at Paycor Stadium, again, as a part of the overall renovation project. The first of those, item number 30, relates to an agreement with Sellhorse Services, CHC Manufacturing, and Baker Construction related to the transportation towers at $13.5 million. Item number 31 is with United Electric and Universal Contracting for $6.97 million. Item 32, Commissioners, is the acceptance of a purchase order. This is an existing purchase order for IT equipment in the Sheriff's Office at $30,000. Item number 33 and 34 relate to the engineer. These are items for a salt dome construction to replace a prior salt dome, and that's at $522,000, and road salt procurement, $1.5 million. Item number 35, Commissioners, is the board had previously appropriated $538,000 of ARPA money to the project for the regional safety complex. This is allocating those dollars to drywall, storm pipe repair, and well pump repair as a part of that project. Item number 36 is what Mayor Smith and Administrator Cameron had been here for. I know Anson tried to track them down, said he was not able to catch them. So I don't know if he said they moved pretty fast. Okay. That is $400,000, Commissioners, for an economic development project related to parking lot construction in downtown Silverton. I know they did have the opportunity to pass along their sincere thanks to the board for that project. Item 37, Commissioners, is a resolution with an agreement with Cincinnati Recycling and Reuse Hub, $14,980 for a plastic recycling program. Item 38 begins several JFS items. 38 is a nursing consultation services contract with Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center for $1.17 million. Item 39 is a contract with Marsh Foundation for $410,000 as a single source agreement for group home services. Item number 40 is a agreement for parenting time visitation services with Justice Works for $750,000. Item number 41 is a renewal of an agreement for family placement services for $100,000. That is with Specialized Alternatives for Family and Youth. Item 42 is an agreement with Gateway to Success for group home services at $300,000. And item 43 is an agreement for $1.37 million with Harbor for youth employment programming. Item 44 and 45, these are domestic violence education agreements with Women Helping Women and YWCA. These are both two $250,000 amendments. And item 46, Commissioners, is a adoptive family recruitment agreement with Beach Acres for family recruitment services. Item 47 is a consulting agreement in JFS with Barry Dunn. It's the reinstatement and amendment to the county's consulting agreement for JFS operational support. Item 48, Commissioners, is a state grant received by the sheriff for drug law enforcement through the Drug Law Enforcement Fund. This is for the enforcement of organizational drug crimes. And for item 49 is the report of no objection to 4 liquor permit applications in Sycamore, Green, Colerain, and Harrison Townships. Item 50 is a travel authorization. This is the approval of travel for 1 coroner employee to Providence, Rhode Island, and 2 auditor employees to Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Item 51 is the monthly investment report for the treasurer. And then we have our by leaves. So that is your consent agenda.
Thanks, Jeff. Vice President Reese, any comments? Questions or comments?
Yes, I've got a couple. I know this is a long item. Now, the resolutions that you've asked to be prepared, are all those with the increase, or is any of them with a renewal?
Those are
Since we're looking at all of them.
Yeah, so those are for the 3 options proposed by the Tax Levy Review Committee. So those are all related to increases in the levy. If the commissioners would like other options prepared, flat levies, decreases, whatever you want, we can ask for those as well. We just need to get the thoughts from the commission and ask the auditor's office for them.
Yeah, we had a really great crowd of people and good folks who, let me just say, all of these services are needed, and what they're providing for our children is essential. But I want to make sure before I move forward, we've got to answer the question, because the questions kept coming that everything is going up, and people I'm hearing, they want a cap. They don't want to have to keep going up because everything's going up at their house. So, we have not answered that question of the $100 million that we had December 2024, and we're broke December 2025. And how we're not going to allow that to happen again is, we haven't identified that answer. So for me, because I know we're not voting yet to put anything on the ballot, but I would definitely like to be recused at this time until I get that answer, how we're going to do it, what we're going to do. We can't say hopefully, because folks are saying, hey, everything going up on me, and I got to raise my kids, and I got to keep my house. So these are all great things, but if we're saying, we don't know how we're going to manage going forward so that we never have that happen again. And we've got to have a clear answer, because in here we got to answer. When I go out in these streets, people are asking me, and some of these people are people that probably want to run. and that want to say, hey, what did y'all do with the $100 million? So for me, I gotta get a better handle. It's not about should we do something for the children. It's about how we're gonna do it, who's gonna pay for it, and maybe there might be some other ways. Because right now, renters don't have to pay, just the people who own the houses. So, it's a little different situation. So anyway, I don't want to go too deep into it. I'll have a chance to do it. But for me, I have to, I would be asking to not vote yes or no at this time, because it's not going on the ballot anyway, till I could get some clear answers of how we're going to stop that bleed. Because if we just saying cost is going up and we got to keep going up, this thing going to get out of hand eventually, no matter what we put on the ballot. So I know those are some additional questions y'all working on. And I would like to get that, for me, I'm not stopping anybody else, but for me. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the flag raising for 250. I don't have a problem with the flag raising. I just need to know, what is the protocol on flags? Because I know none of the commissioners I'm told, I don't know because we can't talk to each other. But I'm told none of the commissioners could make it. And usually when we can't make it, we got to get a date that the commissioners can make it. Otherwise, any group can come and have a flag raising on our buildings. So I have some concerns. Maybe we should have moved it up or whatever. But I don't want a whole program of raising flags and no commissioners are around. I thought that was reserved to the commissioners and to the governor. That's what it was when I was at City Hall. So I don't know what it is here at the county. I don't know if there's a thing where any county-wide elected or any group can raise flags without the county commissioners and have a big program. I think that usually we say they have to get with Bridget and try to get all three commissioners or two commissioners or one commissioner at least who can make that. So I do have an issue on what is the policy on the flag raising without a commissioner being present. But maybe other commissioners have changed they're able to do it on their schedule. But yeah, we shouldn't have no big programs raising any flags on county buildings without a county commissioner present, at least one of us. So I do have some questions about that. And Mr. Lewis, you can answer what the protocol is. Item number 30 and 31, I've been asking for the longest, what is the total amount? Every week is 2 million this week, 3 million, 13 million. We piecemealing it. So maybe we have that today, what the total cost is. And I know we may have to fund it in phases, but what is the total cost? Because we got one for $13,595,000, South Vertical Transportation Towers. Then we go to the next one. We've got something, South Vertical Transportation Architectural, and that's $6.9 million. And then I think when we last met, there were some more millions. These millions are flying. Now, I'm not saying it's outside of the budget, but we still should know what is the total cost is what I've been asking. So then when we get it, we can kind of check it off. For me, that would help me tremendously to know what is it. I think I asked that, we were in Bond Hill at our meeting. I asked what is the total cost, and maybe I missed it, and if so, would love for you to repeat it today. That would be helpful for me. The other thing is, wanted to just highlight the safety complex. I'm glad to see that's moving and making sure that Lincoln Heights is aware that we're making progress. And if you haven't kept them in the loop, maybe just send them something to let them know where we are with this. I think it's important. Excited about Silverton and the $400,000 economic impact grant. Silverton's doing some great things, and as you said, Mayor John Smith was here earlier, so I'm with that. I think I had just one more item. One more item that we had on here. Make sure I've got it. Auditors, got that. Beacon Heights. And I think that might be it for this particular document. Those were just the questions that I had on those. Thank you very much.
Did you want Jeff to, for 30 and 31 to give you an answer to that?
Yes, that would help
Sure,
me.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I did send something out on Tuesday on this, that gave the total on, it's 28.14 million for the vertical transportation that was broken in between, you referenced, Commissioner, correctly, that a couple weeks ago, we had done a contract for the purchase of the escalators, and then these contracts related to both the construction work and the mechanical, electrical, plumbing associated with it. So all of that together is 28.14 million for those projects.
Okay, so once we pass 30 and 31, we'll be done with the vertical.
For those
They'll be paid
specific
for.
ones, Phil, that would be the end for the south for that particular escalator project, correct?
Okay, and how many more escalators we got? Is it a north and a south, or is it just south? That's it? So this is one side is 28 million, or both sides?
Both sides.
Okay, great. That's what I just needed to know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Dreehouse.
Thank you. There were also some other questions about a couple of things, and Jeff, I don't know if you want to address them. I'm happy to comment to them. Related to the levy, the strategies to keep the fund in balance after we have the issue go on the ballot for next year is on the last page of the document. So these are strategies to make sure that we don't get into a situation where we've got overages again. So I just wanted to note that in case it was not noted earlier. And the flag raising issue, we've all been contacted about this. My understanding is that the commissioners have to pass the resolution to fly these flags, so that is the role that the county commissioner plays. And generally, we are the ones outside doing the flag raisings, as we've seen in the last couple of days, actually. In this particular one is the clerk of courts, but our role in this particular one is passing the resolution. And I don't know if that is, that's my understanding.
Yeah, I like to get that in writing I've never seen, I could be wrong, in my days, I've never seen that happen. So I need something in writing, if that's the protocol. I like to read it for myself.
Sure, I think the protocol, I don't know that there actually is a protocol or a policy right now. I think commissioners are typically the ones that are out there, but I don't think that's specific policy. I think, as was referenced, the board does typically pass a resolution, but in terms of the entity responsible for actually being out there, I don't know that there is a specific policy on that. So that would be something the board could decide to do later, but
I don't know why the flag can't just be put there. We've had times where flags have went up and we passed it and we was in the bed. I don't know why the flag can't already be up and then have the program. But I just think it sets a bad precedence, and I don't know, and maybe you could show me another board of commissioners who've done this. I haven't been able to find it in my office, been looking, but we haven't been able to find it. So maybe, Jeff, you've been here, 26 years, maybe you could give me something, or the clerk can show me something where we've done this before. Because I just think it sets a bad precedence. Nothing personal, but it sets a bad precedence. Anybody can run and just have a flag up and then have us just rubber stamp it. We had a big issue about what flag goes up. Juneteenth was hard to get a flag up, and that was done by a commissioner. I remember that being hard. Juneteenth, it was a problem. It can't be up but 2 days, and then it got to go down, and then we got somebody else. I mean, we got to get some, all of a sudden, we get here, and all of a sudden anybody can go and put a flag up and have a program. I think that's wrong. I think the flag should go up like we normally, if it ain't us, it's already up. And then they can have a program on the steps. Anybody can have a program, but I like to see in 200 years, show me where a non-commissioner did a flag raising. Maybe there is, maybe I'm missing. But I don't see, I don't see that. City Hall, they have somebody from City Council, mayor or somebody's involved. So I just don't want to have a free-for-all of just, because there's going to be other people want to just put a flag up and don't at the commissioners. So if we're gonna do it, it could go up June 30th. It's already up. And then they can have a program. But I've been looking for the process, because I remember Commissioner Dumas, you were doing that with Juneteenth. It was a problem. We had to go back and forth, and you were commissioner. So that was kind of it was shocking to me. It was a little shocking. So that was my question on that. And then.
So I was just trying to respond to the question of what is the role of the commissioners related to flag raisings? And my understanding is the role is passing the resolution to raise the flag.
Yeah, but my question was to Jeff Aludo.
Oh,
So
I
I didn't, yeah,
apologize for
all these
answering the
questions,
question.
I wouldn't ask a commissioner.
And
I give respect to each.
But there's an item on the agenda related.
Yes, and I'm asking Jeff Aludo. I don't know if what is he, your chief of staff? I don't know. Jeff Aludo, do we have, and I put it in writing, do we have something on flags? And have we done this before? I asked Jeff Aludo.
Commissioner, I'm not aware that there is a policy at all on that would dictate what offices are responsible for coordinating the actual ceremony. In practice, commissioners have typically taken the lead on that, but that's not to say that another office can't. I think if the commissioners are not okay with another office doing it, we would have to continue to try to coordinate on that. If the commissioners are okay with it, as was stated, the commissioners passed the resolution as to when it would happen. That's the authorizing of it to happen. And then if the commissioners were okay with it, another office could do it. If there wasn't any commissioners around, or if they wanted it to be done at another time, that would just be something that would be worked out with that office. But I don't believe there is a policy dictating that the commissioners are the ones that coordinate the ceremony after the resolution is passed.
Yeah, well, my question is, it's not the ceremony, it's the raising of the flag. And if the commissioners didn't matter, we wouldn't have to vote. They can just run on out there, get with facilities, and raise a flag. My issue is not the program, it's the raising of the flag. And if the commissioners did not matter, we wouldn't be having to vote. I wouldn't have to put my name on it. Y'all run on out, grab some, whatever it is, and pull it on up there. So, but if the commissioners got to vote on it, then that's where obviously the law or whatever wanted the commissioners to have some say. My point is, I don't mind it going up, but put it up. It shouldn't be somebody else raising the flag. That's where I'm coming from. And I couldn't find anything. I kept finding the precedents to this. I couldn't find it. So maybe I lost it. Maybe I got to get with Crowley, who handles records. I could not find it. Where just anybody can get the flag up without a county commission event. So that's where I'm, and I don't want to start opening up, because everybody gonna want to raise a flag. Everybody wants to raise a flag. And that's where the questions that I asked. As for how we're going to do it, on the other part, I asked Jeff Aludo. My questions are always to Jeff Aludo, because that's the only person we're supposed to be having any authority over. And my question about the auditor's piece that we had to put together, and because I've heard just today, everybody kept saying, I think, and we hope. And I'm still wanting to get some real, more concrete answers. I know we're looking into it. So that was the reason I wanted to clarify that question to Jeff on that. But that's the reason about the flag. I don't have a problem with the flag. I want to have some protocols. Because all of a sudden we get down here, now everybody can throw a flag up. Before we got down here, it was hard to get flags going up. Now we show up, everybody get a flag. You get a flag, you get a flag, you can do a flag. I want to get back to some protocols, because I remember it was very tough to put up flags. Juneteenth, it was tough to put up flags. And so I just want to, now everybody running with a flag. So I would like to get some protocols. I don't have a problem with it going up, but it should go up before the ceremony. Ceremony's July 2nd. It should go up June 30th. It's already up. That was my point.
Were you done,
I was not.
Commissioner
I was
Dreehouse?
not
Okay.
done. Thank you very much. So wanted to point out the item number, it's a budget item. It's the 17. This is about, and Jeff, I just wanted some clarity on this. So this is about grants that are related to youth services, mental health grants. Are these grants that are coming to the county from the state or otherwise?
Yes, these are all state term grants, commissioners.
Okay.
So yes, all of those grants, these are just appropriating. It's not all of our state grants. We have others as well, but these are appropriating specific state term grants that are coming to us.
And the reason I wanted to point that out is that we just had the levy public hearing related to many of the things that impact youth and kids in our community. And I wanted to point out that we are always looking for other resources for the programs. And so this is not insignificant. It's $21 million that we're pulling down in grants. And so I just wanted to note that we are trying very hard to provide for youth in the community. The levy is the most significant source, but we are always trying to pull down other grants from the state as well. I wanted also to note item 36. I too talked to the mayor and the administrator of Silverton, thank them for coming down. They just wanted to say thank you, and so I'm grateful that they made the trek down here. I think it was difficult to park, and so they were anxious to leave out of here on time. And I think that's all I had. I might have a question about a buy leave, but I know that we're not there yet. Thank you.
Thanks. I had a couple questions. Jeff, what was your final count for the monies for JFS? I didn't hear that.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I probably didn't say it. I did have the number written somewhere, so bear with me as I try to find where I put all that. 4.34 million, Commissioner.
Okay. So we're up to, I have about 78 million that we have allocated for Job and Family Services, not spent, but so far in June, it's up to about 78 million. I had a question. I don't know if Laura's on the line. Just a quick question. It's not real. Item 38.
And John is here also, Commissioner.
Oh, I didn't see him back there. If whether or not this nursing consultation services, is that something that's new? We've had it before, or?
Yes, this is a new, we just issued an RFP last year for it, but it is a continuation of services that we've had for the last 3 years.
Okay, authorizing the original agreement. Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I had. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I also wanted to ask, to make sure I'm saying this right, Vice President Reese, you wanted to abstain from 21 and 23.
Well, Mr. Ludo said we still have time, I guess, if we wanted something else added, or does this lock me in, or?
No, this doesn't lock you. So typically what we do is once we have the TLRC numbers, we will certify those to the auditor's office so they can come up with the revenue amounts, that type of thing. These just go to the auditor to come back for information. If over the next couple of days, weeks, month and a half, the commissioners have other options that you would want to look at, we can do the same thing there as well.
And are we locked into, what are these, 6-year terms? 5-year? Do we have to do 5-year? Maybe we can, maybe the economy's gonna recover. I mean, I just wanna know, are those options, or I can abstain for now and then discuss them later, maybe?
Yeah, so Lisa, from a term perspective, I think there are, yeah.
No. The commission, if we wanted to do a 2-year stopgap. Okay.
Just to clarify as well, these requests for the auditor to certify the millage are helpful in figuring out all of the backup calculations that are needed for a levy, but they also are also legally required before we pass the ballot resolution.
Yeah, no, I
The
understand.
ballot resolution approved must also have already had an auditor certificate requested.
Right.
So these just give you a suite. We can add more options to vote on at the July meetings as well, just to add the context.
And our deadline is what?
The commissioners are scheduled
August 5th, okay.
The commissioners are scheduled to meet on Monday, August 3rd.
Okay, yeah, I would like to abstain from 21, 22, and 23 till I could get more.
And just to be clear, though, while August 3rd is the date that the board votes, theoretically,
Yeah.
Any request for additional scenarios, we would need significantly before that, because it does take the auditor 2 weeks or so to run them.
Would be the next Thursday commission meeting, and give us enough time to be able to do, for the auditor to have plenty of time to do those calculations. Otherwise, the meeting after that would be, July 30th, which would put the auditor basically having 2 days. to get
Yeah.
something circulated.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hold it up, but I want to have time to talk about potential options. Okay.
So July 16th would be the latest date to get those additional options.
Okay.
Approved and to the auditor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adopt items 14 through 20 and 24 through 51.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt items 21 through 23.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Abstain.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's go back. Thanks, Lisa. Righty. We do the by leaves first, and then we'll go to our comments. Jeff?
Sure, Commissioners. By leave number 1 is a budget adjustment of 1.5 million related to the Hillcrest renovation. As the board is aware, we did receive the appropriation of a capital grant from the state for capital repairs and improvements to the Hillcrest facility to serve as one of the state's child wellness campuses. So this accepts and appropriates that grant. Would you like me to go through all 3 of these, Commissioner? Or do you want
Yes,
to take
that would be great.
Okay. Item by leave 2, on Tuesday, the board heard the report out on the micro enterprise advancement passport grant program. This is the resolution that authorizes those grants at $196,511. And I will, Commissioner, allow you to take by leave number 3. I think you might want to do that one, unless you would like me to. So.
I don't know. Thank you. By leave 3 is a resolution appointing Christy Rachel as county clerk in the office of the Board of the County Commissioners for $75,192. I'd like to make a motion. Can we make comments first? Can we make comments first? I'd like to make a few comments first. Vice President Reese?
Yeah, I just want to, by leave number 3 is what I want to talk about. And I want to say that I'm happy to support Christy. She's been a trooper, filling in whenever needed to be filled in. Came in learning really fast under our former clerk, Leslie. But one thing Leslie kept telling me is that Christy is really good because she brings in a lot of the new technology. She knows how to use AI. She knows how to use all the technology. And we're in a world now, the clerk's position is different than when it was 30 years ago. And so she's able to use the technology, do the Zooms. I remember she would have to get the people on the Zoom. She can get the PowerPoints on and those kind of things. So we're taking the skills to a new level. So I'm happy to support her because she's had the training under Leslie, but also she's also had the opportunity to add in things that I think would bring us more up to speed from a technology standpoint. So happy to support her.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yeah, I too wanted to comment on by leave number 3. Christy, you've been a huge asset to the county ever since you've been here. So I'm glad to see that you're moving up through the ranks and look forward to working with you in your new roles. So much deserved. Thank you for all your dedication to the county.
Thank you, and I agree with both comments from my colleagues, certainly. I'd like to make a motion to, well, I have a question about by leave 1, though. The 1.5 mil Is that like a drop in the bucket for Hillcrest? How much do we need to make it the way we want it to be? We're happy,
yeah.
we're happy about the 1.5.
I can get you the total project cost, but it is not a drop in the bucket. It is a very significant amount in terms of helping to build out the cottages and the infrastructure out there. So I can get you the total amount of the renovation.
Yeah, I would like to know. So this is for all the cottages?
Well, it's not gonna do all the cottages.
I didn't think so.
But,
Yeah.
but it will substantively help with the build out of at least one of those cottages.
Yeah. Okay. No further comments. I'd like to make a motion to adopt items 1 through 3.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. We'll go to comments and motions. Vice President Reese.
Thank you very much. Like you said, we didn't meet last week, so we got a lot going on. One, I attended the Prince Hall Shriners Conference. I talked about it, but I actually attended it June 4th through the 6th at Sharonville Delta Hotel. They came in from 11 different states and booked hotel rooms, and folks were telling me they couldn't even get a room. So that was very good for us. I also was honored to receive an award alongside of NAACP President David Whitehead. Myself and President Whitehead were given an award during the banquet. So I want to thank the Prince Hall Shriners Midwest Conference, and we really appreciate that. Also, met with Mayor Mark Mallory and Mr. Anderson, who owns the Filson on the Banks, and they have an idea. Mr. Filson has an idea, put his own money up to take that green area, instead of having the Ferris wheel that would block the Freedom Center, but put his own money up and have this high-end putt-putt, and I think it would be family-friendly and get people down. So had a great meeting, and I'm sure you all will also, if you haven't already, meet with them, and asked Mr. Aludo to also meet with them and see, because they said they hadn't been had not gotten a return phone call back, and he likes to get something up by November, which would give us something new on the bank. So I had a great conversation with him. Also, the 513 relief bus, I was in Sharonville, Ohio, with the 513 relief bus, and that was great. I recorded a interview on the Channel 12 health segment that's coming up, focused on health services and screenings, and how the 513 relief bus is a national model and has really saved taxpayers money. And this is our annual report. I would encourage everybody to get this annual report so you can see the results of the 513 relief bus, which we've had over 300 stops since its inception and helped with 660,000 free services, but it's gonna go into more detail, birth certificates, et cetera. So please get a copy of the 513 Relief Bus annual report, and you'll hear more about it as well on Channel 12. I was at a ribbon cutting in Sedamsville with the Port Authority. And they have a project that we invested $850,000 of the ARPA money, and it was done through CDF. But what was so critical was that the Port Authority and the realtists, who are Black realtors, they never had a relationship. They never communicated. They never could participate, and these were land bank properties, the CARES portfolio. And so we've come a long way from a meeting. They had their first county day that I hosted here a couple years ago and brought in Laura from the Port Authority. And it was a pretty heated meeting, but at the end, they came together with a historic partnership. And we didn't have to vote on that or anything, but they have a historic partnership that came together, and we had a press conference. It was great, but I said, let me see some results. And so they had the 25% of the CARES portfolio. But they did such a great job that Laura says, wait a minute, we're gonna do 100%, and Sedamsville is one of them. And so we saw partnerships of minority and majority companies working together, selling the property, rehabbing the property, because it's a very tough rehab situation over there. And they were there announcing it and celebrating it, and it worked. And so I just want to congratulate the Port Authority, Laura, and I want to thank her, and I want to congratulate Derek Dansby was the president at that time, and Felicia is the current president, and they're just getting it done. That's what we're talking about. So I wanted to congratulate them, and I was happy to be there to see it in action. Also wanted to say that yesterday, I'm very excited. We hosted the second annual Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, and Hamilton County Library, Main Library, hosted our second annual Juneteenth, pre-Juneteenth celebration. And it was amazing. I want to thank everybody. It was a packed house. There's a upgrade to an exhibit, a new exhibit that's upgraded that has the inductees in there, their paraphernalia and wearables. We can't put those at the Walk of Fame because people say, I want to donate my dress. Dottie Peoples donated her dress, the first dress she ever wore to the Stellar. And so we've got a new exhibit updated for people to check out, posters, free posters that people could come in and folks were autographing the posters. The Q Kids in the West End, who their leader, Marquisa, has been doing it for over 40 years. And these kids can't even get a van. I got transportation down there for them yesterday. They said they've been walking. And, you know, we have all these shootings and so forth in the West End, and you shouldn't be just celebrated when you die. We got to give resources to these folks, these programs that's keeping kids out of trouble, and celebrate and invest in them while they're here. But they did a phenomenal dance presentation. And if you put that back up one time, I also have a library card challenge that I hosted, library card challenge. And these young people were getting library cards and signing up. You see the young people getting library, older people. Mr. Keith Little was one of our influencers, 2026, the blues man. He got his library card. And this library card is not a regular card anymore. They got streaming options and all that. It's just amazing. And I want to thank the team for helping to put this together. This is a free event. I want to thank the chair, volunteers that's been volunteering, Lincoln Ware, and Kent Butts from the King Legacy Foundation. They were there on hand with us. But I want to thank Romaine Jones, Jackie Taggart Boyd, Aziza Nubia Alchain, Don Juan Fasho, Sybil Veda Stevens, Paula Heeger, thank you so much, and Tyra Kessler, Kathy Bach, Drew Pearson, Angela Hirsch, and the entire library team for their contributions. The lines were long to get the library cards, and they recorded the history. People have stories in the history. They were able to record it while they were there. And our inductees this year are WCIN Radio, first Black radio station in Ohio, and the first from here to the East Mississippi River. These folks could not be superstars because you couldn't get your music played if they did not push it. So WCIN and Heatwave, Regina Bell will be getting a Legacy Award for keeping Nancy Wilson's legacy alive. New Edition will be honored with a video. They were in town and they were down their video for what they also have done with the Spinners at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're asking everybody to wear all white attire. The date is Saturday, July 25th. It's absolutely free. And there will be free performances by Second Wind, Regina Bell, Shirley Murdoch, and Midnight Star will do a 50th anniversary celebration, and DJ Don Juan Fasho. So I wanted everybody to have those dates. It'll be at the Andrew Brady Center. It'll be indoor and outdoor. As we're on that topic, I've been able to work with Procter & Gamble to pay for our stars. We have 21 stars. And they did it with private money. And I'm happy to report and give to my colleagues, of course, there's a letter from Damon Jones for a grant of $84,000 back to the county for more stars of the Walk of Fame. So I'll let y'all have those. So we're very excited about that. So thank you, Procter & Gamble, who's also given over $200,000 so far for stars. And now another $84,000. So very, very happy about that. Also, in addition to that, I want to say that I've been talking about we got to get more concerts, we got to get more events. And I don't know if we get it, but I was told that Usher and Chris Brown concert have made contact with Paycor about possibly adding Cincinnati. So hopefully that will be hopefully could happen, and hopefully will be the beginning of getting some of these other major concerts, so we're not just one a year, and as well as major sporting events, but things where they're gonna rent our facility and not ask us to put up money. So I'm hopeful that that is happening. In our other Great American, Rick Ross and Ludacris are coming. Ludacris gave $1 million to the Children's Theater. $1 million. And now he's coming and he's going to be performing at the Reds. I talked to Phil Castellini because I also want to get more stuff at Great American, which we own. Bring in more money, more dollars. But when we book these people, I want to ask Mr. Ludo, as we're looking for RFQs and RFPs, we don't want the artists to just come through the back door, perform, and go back out the back door. When they go to Louisville, Janet Jackson's walking all around. When they go to Cleveland, they all around. We want to showcase what we have here in Hamilton County. So the comedian Earthquake is coming, and he said he didn't know anything about the Black Music Walk of Fame, but he loves Roger. So now he's gonna come down to take a look. We need to continue to promote our area. Now, last but not least, before I say this, let me just say happy Father's Day to everybody this weekend. All the fathers out there, and those who lost their fathers, because that's a big deal to lose a parent. We're praying for you, those who have lost a father. But I want to say happy Father's Day to everybody. Happy Father's Day to my father. I'm so happy, Dr. Stephen Reese Sr. Now, last but not least, let me just say, two quick things. I want us to look into a policy on these data centers. I've been seeing other counties are looking at it, Butler County. So I want to say Butler County Commission approved short-term data center moratorium. We need to be looking at that here in Hamilton County, and I'll have more to say on that, but I want to let Mr. Ludo know I would like us to look into it and look and see what we're doing. The other thing is I saw where it said Hamilton County extends property tax due date. So we just need to get more information on what that is and what that means and why is that happening. Like the extension, but we'd love to have paying a whole lot less. With that, I'm on affordability. What I'm seeing and hearing from people is they just are getting priced out of their house, priced out of their cars, priced out of their food, because everything's going up except their money. And Duke Energy went and they're trying to get more increases. They had one in 2021. Now they're coming right back with 33 or 32%. So I have a letter that I sent to the governor. They might have a right to ask for it, but we got a right to say no. And so this was sent to Governor DeWine. Said, I'm writing you on behalf of the thousands of residents across Hamilton County to express deep concern regarding Duke Energy's continued rate increases and the growing financial strain they are placing on our community. My office is being flooded with calls and concerns from constituents who are struggling to keep up with the rising utility costs. Families, seniors, veterans, small businesses, and working people throughout the region are feeling the impact and finding it increasingly difficult to stay afloat. These increases come at a time when Ohioans are already facing rising property taxes, high gas and grocery prices, increased healthcare costs, and growing economic uncertainty. For many residents living on fixed incomes or paycheck to paycheck, another increase in utility costs is simply unsustainable. I am particularly disappointed by the recent decision by the Ohio Supreme Court to clear the way for Duke Energy to move forward with additional rate increases. This decision ignores the financial realities facing everyday Ohioans and raises concerns and questions about whether the interests of ratepayers are being adequately protected. Duke Energy already received a significant rate increase in 2021. Yet despite that increase, the company is once again seeking to pass additional costs on to customers. Equally troubling is that the proposed increase has been opposed by the Ohio Consumers Council, the state agency charged with representing the interests of residential utility customers. The Consumers Council has raised concerns regarding whether certain infrastructure investments and system upgrades are necessary, prudent, and in the best interest of the ratepayers. Ohio families should not be forced to finance costly projects that may provide limited benefit to customers while generating higher returns for utilities. At a time when residents are struggling to make ends meet, the state of Ohio has a responsibility to act. Ohio currently maintains a budget stabilization fund, commonly known as a rainy day fund, with approximately $3.9 billion, the largest balance in the state's history. If there was ever a rainy day for working families, seniors, and vulnerable residents facing impossible choices between paying bills, utility bills, purchasing groceries, obtaining medication, or keeping a roof over their head, the time is now. Therefore, I respectfully call upon your administration to take immediate action by 1, a moratorium. Implement a moratorium on additional utility rates at this time until a comprehensive review of Duke Energy's proposals can be conducted and their necessity fully justified. Number 2, PUCO. Advocate that your appointees on the PUCO Commission of Ohio prevent rate increases and prioritize affordability. And then 3, the Rainy Day Fund. Allocate an additional $1 million to Hamilton County, possibly from the Rainy Day Fund, to assist our residents in paying high utility bills. And I end with this. As a former state representative, former president of the Ohio Legislative Caucus, and current vice president of the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, I have consistently fought for policies to reduce costs for families and improve affordability for taxpayers. I urge you to take immediate action, and I look forward to hearing from you on this matter. So I'd like to have this in the record, and that's been sent, and I hope to get a response. But a moratorium can happen. We're one of the few states that won't reverse the gas tax. States around us are doing it, and we just can't keep pricing the people out. So that's what I have in 2 weeks, and we won't see each other again in 2 weeks, but I wanted that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy, do you have the Damon Jones letter also that Vice President gave you? You have that one?
No, I do.
We'll make sure she gets this. Okay. I just have a few things. I had a meeting with for an interview for the JFS director, and so very good meeting, and you'll be hearing more about that, I'm sure. Also had a meeting with Elaine Fay and Beth Yoke of the Workforce Council to talk about some of the transitions that are going on at their place. I met with the Public Defender's Office. Actually, it was a webinar, and they talked about the report that came out just this week about police encounters. And we can't, my editorial, we can't deny the entire report. Somebody has to take some responsibility for what was in the report, investigate it, look into it, correct it, and not be so defensive about the report. So I'm glad they did not charge the city, from my understanding, and they, you know, when you have 430-something thousand cards that are filled out by police, something has to be right about it. Maybe it wasn't all entirely right, but we need to not be defensive about it because Cincinnati is part of Hamilton County. So we're concerned, I'm concerned about the report that came out. And I did my Music Fest video shoot, and that was a lot of fun. We do every year. And the Visit Cincy, they canceled their meeting. Their executive committee are going to do it in July, trying to get everybody together because there are lots of things going on in the county. Of course, I talked earlier about the Juneteenth flag raising ceremony. I also wanted to mention the Veterans Village that is being, hopefully, will come to fruition in Madisonville. And we have given $1 million commitment just for tiny homes for veterans. And I just want to see us do this thing. They're almost there financially. Luke Blocker is working with them, and I'm continuing to monitor the progress. And I just want it to happen. And I'm sure we all do. I was chosen as one of the 100 influential people in Hamilton County in the Cincy magazine, along with my colleagues. They decided to add them on also. You didn't know about it? It's a beautiful article. You got to get the magazine. So, okay. And then I'm also real happy about NACO. They handed out some achievement awards, about 6 of them for Hamilton County. Every year we get all this for thinking outside of the box and being creative. And you probably can't see this, but one of them, there were 6 of them. I brought copies of 2 of them. And this is not the one I wanted, but we, our rebranding and website, Hamilton County was acknowledged. And the Central Campus, I fought very hard for Central Campus. It wasn't easy. It wasn't something that everybody could see as a vision. But when I look at those staff, every time I go over there, they look like different people. They're just in a bright, open, not just the staff, but the families that are coming in. It's just the greatest thing one of the greatest things that we've done as a county, I think. Our administrator for kind of leading that charge. And so I'm just really happy about that. And then we got some, and I have to check and thank Holly. I think Holly put in for this. You had like a team that put in through NACO. So I want to thank Holly for that. And then they recognized us for accessibility, our policies and procedures for making sure that the disabled are included in the process as we build our buildings and our infrastructure. So I think that's all I have. So at this point, with nothing else being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.